Oh, not again.
What's wrong, my counterpart?
Why, it's my commerce allotments. They haven't been this low since I bought them back in 2050.
I keep telling you, you should listen to me about these things. Mine just about global diversification, and my allotment credits should be satellite transferring as we speak. Don't you just love the global net?
Yeah, it allows me to lose credits at the speed of light.
Greetings, frontal ones.
Greetings.
Just a moment, young offspring. Counterpart, didn't you want to engage in verbal communication with this young descendant?
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Why, yes, I did. Sit down, adolescent.
Sit down? Are you serious, paternal one? Why can't you just email me like all the other parental units?
Just humor us, okay? Have a seat. So, how are your educational processes going?
Oh, fine. Periodic testings are coming up soon, but I'll be prepared, I promise.
Well, actually, that's exactly what we wanted to communicate with you about.
What's so important that we have to communicate about it?
Well, your educational advisors gave us a transmission, and they indicated that you've been using those inappropriate phrases again.
What are you talking about? That transmission must have gotten contaminated or something. I haven't been using any inappropriate phrases. Just what do those techno nerds claim I said this time?
Well, you tell them and you will say it.
Well, you've been heard, and by several people, I might add, using the holiday word we do not speak of.
The holiday word we do not speak of?
Do not play smart with us, young adolescent. You know exactly what we are talking about.
It's the one used to describe the winter celebration of giving.
Oh, you probably mean Christmas.
I just don't understand you, young adolescent. Haven't we done a good enough job as your parental units? Haven't we raised you in a proper 21st century of tolerance and ambiguity? So don't you know better? We might as well admit it, counterpart. We failed.
Oh, no, my spousal one. We haven't failed. We have completed far too many online interactive parenting video seminars to be failures.
That's true.
Nah. Adolescent. What your gender opposite is trying to say is that way back in 2050, the Supreme Court ruled that Christmas. Well, anyways, it was too inappropriate to include as a part of that time of year. You see, it used to have additional religious connotation, so the word was too restrictive, too narrow-minded. But today, we understand that to live in a society of complete mediocrity and ambiguity, no one should express how they feel or what they think about anything. The trouble you're in today is the perfect example of why the Supreme Court ruled the way they did. All I want to know is where you picked up such talk.
From a book I found.
Counterpart, it's worse than we thought.
No, it was wonderful. They say it came from an ancient manuscript that many believe was inspired by a divine being. It told this beautiful story about how this sort of heavenly fraternal unit sent his own tiny offspring down to Earth, and he was born in a lowly stable in a little town called Bethlehem.
But offspring are born every day. That's hardly something worth getting reprimanded.
Oh, but this offspring was very different. This child was very special. You see, the divine being loved the people so much that he sent his one and only son down to Earth to be their king.
Well, there you have it. Surely your educational sessions have taught you that all monarchies are destined to fail. There couldn't have been much to this divine being if all he did was establish a monarchy.
But it was so much more than that. You see, this baby king was to grow up to serve the people that he ruled over, and he loved them so much that he even died for them.
He died. Doesn't sound like much of a king then.
So is that all there is to this story?
Well, I haven't finished it yet, but I have a feeling that there's a whole lot more to it.
Well, what does this have to do with this Christmas nonsense?
This child was called the Christ. Christmas was the celebration of his birth.
Well, if this Christ, was so grand, then how come we don't hold his birthday in high regards to this day?
Well, as near as at least I can tell, people just kind of forgot about him. Over time, their celebrations began to center around who could get the biggest presents and who could decorate their dwellings the gaudiest and who could throw the biggest parties. It got so bad that most people used more than their allotment of credits, which was a major cause of the great financial crash of 2008. It's pretty sad, really.
Well, I'm sure glad we've evolved into a society that has much better sense than they did.
That is right. And if the Supreme Court ruled that this Christ was inappropriate to use as a part of the winter celebration of giving, it's enough for me. And it needs to be enough for you too, son.
I know parental ones. But I would really like to finish studying the story of this Christ. I mean, purely for the historical value, of course.
Ah.
Oh.
Eesh.
Mm.
Ah.
Mm. Mm.
Ah.
Uh-huh.
All right. Under one condition. You have to stop using the holiday word we do not speak of in your educational sessions.
All right. If it'll keep us from having to do any more verbal communications, I'll do it.
Fine.
Thanks, parental ones. I just want to try and figure out how an entire society's belief system could change so much in such a short period of time.